Everybody, friend of the show.
How are you guys?
I'm doing good.
Super.
Dylan Ratigan is here. You know Dylan Ratigan from he's a best-selling New York Times author. He's also award-winning Bloomberg News reporter, the host of his own show on MSNBC. He now is on a podcast with Tom Sosnoff at Tasty Trade, and he's here with us now to do Corona Money Talk. How are you, Dylan?
I'm good. I mean, who knew we were going to stumble into this a couple months ago when you first called me to talk about this, when they first architected the bailout to sort of set in motion the greatest, literally the greatest robbery in the history of the world. It's amazing that we're here. It's interesting to watch it continue to evolve, and I'm glad that you've given me an opportunity to talk to you about it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you're available. Are you? What are you noticing that is happening? Do you notice that people what we've posited here at this show is that people don't know what's coming. They don't know how bad this is. Are people starting to figure out that the government is completely not helping them and they're not actually doing anything? Are they starting to wake up or no?
I don't think really yet. I mean, I spoke to a couple of people earlier this week. And there are huge institutions like Citadel or Ray Dalio, these massive billionaire hedge funds that were bailed out in March, that nobody comprehends, that literally some of the wealthiest human beings in this country who run some of the biggest highly leveraged investment funds in this country or lending funds were bailed out in March. When the market was limited down. So something like that, it has not revealed itself yet to people. I don't think people understand the contrast between I don't even have the adjectives for it, but so I'll just say the horror of what was done in terms of the bailout for the super rich institutions with 40 million unemployed and no support of any kind for the unemployed, while simultaneously using the tax dollars to finance the super wealthy and the super wealthy's consolidation of ownership of resources. And I don't want to be redundant to our past conversations. I think we have to start to take what I've described and you've described and Steph's described and others around your show as fact. I think it's important that we remind people of that. But I think for these conversations to be useful, I also think we need to sort of move through time as this happens, and I think we're really now just starting to move into a period of time where people are just starting to comprehend not just how big the unemployment issue is and is going to continue to be in this country, but how directly the unemployment issue targets the most vulnerable country. And so it's not a uniform unemployment. It's actually a hyper targeted unemployment, and it's a targeted unemployment that directly seeks to unemploy those who can those who have the smallest or the shortest financial runway to endure it. And so anyway, I mean, I was talking to some folks that were at Warren Buffett's meeting. I guess it was last week was Warren Buffett's annual meeting. And even Warren Buffett was very cautious about this entire situation, and he's sort of, one of the great cheerleaders for America. And so, sort of, however you look at this, we're in a moment where the only reason I think there's not as much of a panic as there could be or would be is because the financial bailout, those trillions of dollars from the Federal Reserve and from the Treasury, have done an incredibly good job of supporting the stock market. That has created a false sense of security in terms of the health of our economy. I think you probably remember how people felt when the stock market was down 30 or 40%. It was going limit down every day, and people were in a panic. I think the only reason that there's any complacency right now is because the stock market has really been completely disconnected from the U.S. economy.
Yes,
and as a result, creates a false sense of security. Mm-hmm. At the same time, the rate of evolution of the problems is a slower evolving thing, whether it's the virus and the infection itself, or whether it's the economic trauma and the social crisis that is coming over the next couple of years, certainly in this country. But I think if you're looking at maybe years, again, when the financial crisis happened, that was 2009, right? That was September 2009. Occupy Wall Street didn't happen for 2 years after that.
Right.
It takes a long time for the awareness of the information. If everybody listened to your show, or if everybody listened to my reporting on your show, or if everybody comprehended and believed it, there would be a more immediate response, but it's just not the nature of the beast. And there's such a all-consuming and low-utility pool of information out there from the primary information brokers, and plus the bubbling effect and all the things people read what they want, Facebook, all the shattering of the information markets make it take longer for this to happen, make it easier to blame different people, all of those things. But this is going to be a profound and life-changing couple of years for this country, and parts of that are going to be really, really awful, I think.
Yeah. Yep. I know. Okay. So I saw this story at CNBC, and it says Trump is insisting on a payroll tax cut for workers, why some experts say it's a terrible idea. So let me just go through a little bit.
Moronic. But remember, he's a village idiot, so we got to be nice. But
Yeah.
I'll let you keep going.
Yeah. So President Trump is digging in his heels and demanding that further stimulus legislation passed by Congress must include payroll tax cuts for workers. We're not doing anything without a payroll tax cut, Trump said. The $2 trillion CARES Act implemented by Congress gave employers a temporary reprieve from payroll taxes until the end of the year. That goes for Social Security and certain railroad retirement taxes. Now the president wants to give workers a similar cut. The main problem with the proposal is that it would go to the people who least need help. It seems that like you're deliberately targeting it to people who are in the best situation, the ones who are still working. So let me just...
No, it's exactly what you described, Jimmy. And so start at the top of the decision-making tree. As soon as there's a crisis, the first people that are looked after are the multi-billionaires. So whether it's the multi-billionaire banking system participants or the multi-billionaire business enterprises that are the most connected to the government, they're taken care of in the first 24 to 72 hours, right?
Right.
And then there's a progression of caretaking, if you will, in terms of the policy making from all of the Democrats, including everybody's leftist favorites, and certainly all the Republicans, including everybody's populist right-wing favorites, that continues to favor those who have the most, while simultaneously doing the least for those who have the least. And the idea of prioritizing a payroll tax cut, which is basically an increase in take-home pay for people who currently have jobs, at a time when the obvious and most catastrophic issue that exists in this country is 20, 30% unemployment, 40 million people likely to be unemployed, which again is not a recession. That is, by definition, a depression. That's not an opinion. That's another fact. And so the idea that the government is not prioritizing basic intervention for those that are the most exposed to the consequences of this depression, and at the same time is doling out money by the trillion to the richest and the most privileged, or at the very least the people that are the most, again, after they're done with the richest and the most privileged, then looking to give a raise to those who are among the most stable, is a remarkable window into the insight of the character of the American government. But again, this is a character that has existed going back certainly to Bill Clinton, and really before. I mean, this is not a new character insight for the American government. The American government has been taking care of the wealthiest interests, whether it was with NAFTA, whether it was with the financial deregulation in the 90s. I mean, go down the list. Trump is particularly offensive and crude and barbaric and murderous in his disposition and his nature, but he is in no way unique in following the standard protocol of using the government to benefit the rich, to consolidate wealth, and to destroy and deprive the most impoverished. I mean, listen, America functionally is a third world country that's hiding behind the edifice of Hollywood, Silicon Valley, Wall Street, and its military. But if you stripped away the American military, Wall Street, the Valley, and Hollywood, what you would see and what you are seeing as a consequence of this virus is a third world country, both in the nature of the priorities of the government and how it functions, and in the resources and opportunities that are available to the vast majority of the people who live here.
So let me just explain to people what this means by what the purpose of this is, this payroll tax. So what that means is no one's putting money into Social Security, right? So that's what they mean by payroll tax. And so this is just another attempt to bankrupt Social Security so they can eventually privatize it. That's exactly what this is. And in fact, in this article, it goes on to say, the economic recession will likely speed up the exhaustion date for Social Security trust funds. So what that means is the exhaustion date, that's a term that means when Social Security will have to start paying out more money than it actually takes in and has. That's the exhaustion date. And so any plans for payroll tax cuts would have to include ways to replenish those funds, which are currently scheduled to run out in 2035. At that time, 79% of promised benefits will be payable. So what they're trying...
Do you understand the absurdity? But do you understand the absurdity of talking about money as if, excuse me, as if it's scarce?
Yes.
So the idea that, oh, there's an exhaustion date, or, oh, we can't pay for this, or, oh, you better go get a job, at a time when literally trillions of dollars are being given away to special interests. It is incomprehensible to the idea of utilizing utilizing scarcity or limited funding as a point of leverage for policymaking while simultaneously supplying infinite capital from everything from oil companies to airlines to down the list is an indication of how third world this government is.
But Dylan, honest, aren't you surprised that no one in the news media, no one in politics is screaming about this? No one. Bernie Sanders and the squad are voting for this shit.
Honestly, I am surprised. I would even think politically it's to their advantage to try to speak up on this.
They won't
forget their moral character.
Bernie Sanders. It is such a winner politically to stand up and fight for people at this moment. Every Democrat in the Congress is ceding that to the right now. They're letting Josh Hawley and fucking Mitt Romney out-left them. It's happening. It's not making it up. Trump is out-lefting them. And no one, including Bernie Sanders, is screaming about this. It is stunning.
Aren't you surprised? Just to forget even the moral character. I honestly don't know what they're thinking.
I don't know because Dylan, here's what I say. When I've had 3 Negronis, I say, what is in it for them to not give people cash payment? They've already proven they're going to print as much fucking money. It doesn't matter. What would stop them from giving $1 trillion to people? Why won't they so then people can go out and buy shit? Like, is it now?
I know it's this sort of, I can offer my explanation, but it's not even, I don't know how meaningful it is. I said it to you last week. I think there's this sort of this false adherence at the sort of civilian level of this mythology of American sovereignty and self-sufficiency. We have, and people don't like the democratic socialism, but they seem really enthusiastic for corporate socialism.
Yes, 100%.
America is a corporate socialist country, and that's. Listen, Leon Cooperman is one of the most rapacious hedge fund managers on Wall Street. This is a very aggressive, very experienced, ruthless money man in New York, and he came out recently and said, "Listen, some of these guys are smart enough to worry about the pitchforks.
Yeah,
it's like they're like, I don't know how you could possibly expect to always have the fallout on the bottom be protected by the government and not expect the upside or the progression of resources up to be controlled by the government. You can't have it. He was making the point that you can't have it both ways. Now, remarkably, America has it better than both ways. They have, this amplification of the profits for the super rich and total protection from economic losses for the big companies and the super rich, while simultaneously literally no safety net for more than half the country.
So I just want everybody who votes Trump, who watches this show and who is a Trumper, to know that what Trump is trying to do is fuck you right now. He's not trying. He's fucking you. So you're getting fucked hard by Trump and by Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell. They're all your enemy. There's no doubt about it. And if you don't see through that now, then you deserve what you have coming. But let me tell you something. Trump is no friend. He's trying to take away your Social Security right now. That's what Trump is trying to do. Is it his idea? No, it's not Trump's idea. This is shit that's being told to him by guys like Larry Kudlow and Steve Mnuchin, that guys who have been waiting their entire fucking lives to do this, to get rid of Social Security and put that money into the stock market. That's exactly what they've been trying to do their entire life. And now Trump is going to help them do it. And so just so you know, eliminating payroll tax is code for eliminating Social Security and Medicare. And when you hear Trump say we want to eliminate capital gains, that's code for eliminating all the tax on the 1%. That's what Trump is doing right now. Just so I know there's a lot of people who are conservatives who watch the show because they like that I'm a truth teller. Well, it's the truth that Trump is fucking you as hard as you've ever been fucked right now. Harder. And he's trying to do it more. And the only thing... And
they're using the biological crisis to seize the opportunity to do all the worst things, which is, if you ever want, you see the true character of anyone when you're in a situation like this, and the character that's been revealed about our government is staggeringly hostile to the people that live in this country.
I mean, none of this is Trump's idea. That's the thing. You have to understand that Trump is just a figurehead, right? And he's doing everything that Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, Larry Kudlow, and Steve Mnuchin want him to do. He doesn't have any ideas on how to handle a fucking pandemic or a crisis or a banking crisis. He doesn't have any idea on how to do anything. He's doing what he's being told to do by the business community, and he's fucking doing it. And guess what Nancy Pelosi's doing? She's doing what she's told to do by the business community, and she's doing it. And guess what the squad and Bernie Sanders is doing? They're going along with it and not doing a goddamn thing. Your entire government has just turned their back on you. And I just got an email today from Bernie Sanders asking for more money. Mm-hmm. He's asking me for money. Mm. The fucking balls that these cocksuckers in fucking D.C. Unbelievable. If I get one more email from Bernie fucking Sanders asking me for money, hey, why don't you go book your next talk show? Because that seems to be his job now. He doesn't do anything for you in Congress, but he's hosting a late night talk show. He'll have Cardi B on later on this evening. Here's what Donald Trump tweeted out today. And I want to get your opinion on it, Dylan. He said, well-run states should not be bailing out poorly run states, using coronavirus as the excuse. The elimination of sanctuary cities, payroll taxes, and perhaps capital gains taxes must be on the table. Also, lawsuit indemnification and business deductions for restaurants and entertainment. Now, I know he didn't write that tweet, because he doesn't know what lawsuit indemnification and business but I'll tell you what that means. That means when Amazon forces their people to go back to work and doesn't give them safety supplies or have them social distance correct, they can't be sued. So that the capitalist who then sacrifices your bodies for their profits cannot be held responsible for their irresponsibility or on purpose killing you. Like what's happening at meatpacking plants right now. What's happening at UPS. What's happening at Amazon. So what's your reaction to him saying well-run states should not be bailing out poorly run states and using the coronavirus?
I mean, well, there's layers of absurdity in that, and you just did a nice assessment of it. One, we have to be a whisper away from where we were before the original union movement happened in this country, with the and I'm going to forget the name, but there's a very famous fire where a lot of people died.
The Triangle Shirtwaist factory fire.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have to be a whisper away from that type of an event in the context of what's being discussed here relative to whether it's Amazon workers, meatpacking workers. I mean, there's so many densely populated work environments in this country where that type of an architecture of forcing people to work to do everything you just described is I don't see how it doesn't become a catalyst for something bigger than what happened in the original union movement. One. Two, the entire supposition there, I mean, as you know, as a California taxpayer, or myself as a New York taxpayer, the implication of Trump's statement is that the states that have the bigger economic issues because they have A, the bigger economies, and B, the more aggressive lockdown policies are the ones that don't deserve quote unquote bailouts. I mean, if we're going to go down this road, I think everybody knows that for every dollar that comes to California or to New York from the federal government, $2 or $3 from our paychecks leave California and New York to go to pay for to subsidize states like Kentucky, Mitch McConnell's state, right?
Right.
And so the entire argument, I mean, if they want to go down this road, it's ridiculous. But trust me, if we're going to break up the United States of America, you would much rather be a resident of the country of California in terms of its wealth and resources as a nation state, or the country of New York than the country of Kentucky. So the very suggestion that Trump wants to pit the states against each other using the federal government is a real loser for the states that Trump is for Trump's voters.
So, for instance, Mitch McConnell hails from Kentucky. Now, if Kentucky goes bankrupt, guess what goes bankrupt? The teachers' pensions funds, the firemen's pensions funds, the policemen's pensions funds. So now all those people's pensions go bankrupt because Mitch McConnell wouldn't bail out his own goddamn state. How the fuck is this politically tenable? Dylan?
I don't know. I mean, you have me speechless, Jimmy. I don't understand the politics. I suppose that because the politics really that were designed and created originally by Bill Clinton, really probably before that, lesser of two evil, where people basically no longer are given the opportunity to vote for anything that they believe in. They're just are forced to choose between who's the least abhorrent of the two candidates, with Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump being sort of the most recent expression of that. And the thing with lesser of two evil voting is you don't have to do anything for anybody. You simply have to raise money and run a media campaign that absolutely massacres the identity of your opponent, so that however much they hate you, they hate the other one more. And I feel like the Mitch McConnells of this world have actually mastered that lesser of two evils mind game.
Yes.
And once you're in that lesser of two evils architecture, all these other issues that we talk about become irrelevant, because the entire political system is simply based on the ability to massacre your opponent's identity using money. And as long as you're confident you can do that, you can literally rape and pillage your own people to the point where they're homeless and dying in the street. And as long as when it comes to campaign time, you can rape and massacre your opponent, you'll still get reelected. That's why this is a third world country.
Yes. Hey, this is the part where I tell you where our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then I would tell you to go join our premium, but nobody has a fucking job. So why don't you just enjoy the video?